Hi, good morning. I'm Francesco. I will be speaking about two case studies that we did at the Digitization Department from Heritage Malta. Both case studies focus on a unique digital pass, and the speech will focus mainly on the technical process. But first, some background information on the digital pass. The digital pass is a traditional water taxi. It was developed in the 17th century. These types of boats played a crucial role in ferrying passengers across the Grand Harbour and Marsamxett Harbour. These boats were mostly between the 18th and 20th centuries, and their usage saw a decline in the late 20th century. Today, sadly, only a few dayas remain operational. However, variants of these dayas are still used in rowing regattas held twice a year. Our first case study is the dayasa of HMS Surprise. The curatorial team at the Malta Maritime Museum, where we are today, requested the scanning of this boat due to its cultural significance and fascinating history. Its history starts in July 1953. While serving as the dispatch vessel for the Commander-in-Chief of the Maritime Fleet, the Bay-class frigate HMS Surprise employed boatman Salvatore Formosa and his dayasa Talpas. As the story goes, their most notable achievement was a race against the swiftest gondolas in Venice, where the Maltese vessel won. That small picture in the corner, that is Salvatore in Venice. The dayasa of Formosa, most notably known as Pasalv, represents the link between Malta and the Royal Navy. It represents a maritime legacy of skilled boatmanship and boat building that stood favorably compared with the other Mediterranean sea vessels and cultures. We won in the Venice. And that left the gondolas livid. Our second case study today is on the dockyard dayasa, and this was scanned due to its interesting and unique construction. This was the only dayasa Talpas built specifically for the dockyard. This boat designed to maneuver the different docks in the Malta dockyard, and is unique for being much shorter and sturdier dayasa Talpas, thus enabling it to handle more weight and turn easier. This boat was restored by Heritage Malta under the supervision of Carmel Karabot. Our next step is the process. We started with the methodology that Jacob previously explained. Why are we scanning this? Why are we scanning? Why are we scanning? Where are we scanning? What are we scanning? And how are we scanning these artifacts? The curatorial team at the Maritime Museum already gave us the why, by giving us the narratives of the boats and highlighting their cultural value. Both artifacts presented significant challenges during the scanning process. The environments were dark and were cramped, limiting our ability to move around them freely. The restored dockyard boat had a shiny paint, which could have caused issues when we were attempting to generate the mesh. Both boats consisted of multiple parts, leaving us with two options. Either scan everything in place as one model, or scan each part individually. Scanning each part individually is more time-consuming. However, we still opted for this method as it provides greater flexibility in showcasing the model. We chose photogrammetry and LiDAR scanning for the main boat structures and laser scanning for the smaller parts. Preparation began a day before the scanning session. We charged all equipment and ensured everything was ready. That is one of the Pele cases we take to all of our sessions, scanning sessions. It's one of 3, and they are huge. They are very heavy. Well, that's why we go like 5 people to scan session. Both boats consisted. Preparation. Due to the dark environments, we needed to light the boats adequately to achieve flat textures. We brought 2 rotolights and 3 street lights, along with power strips and a long extension cord to handle distant power sockets. The final preparation step involved setting up targets, crucial for linking the LiDAR data with the photogrammetry data during processing. We scattered around 10 targets, ensuring they were placed where each LiDAR points and most photos could capture them. Finally, after all this preparation, we got to scanning. We started the session with LiDAR scanning, capturing the whole boats from different levels and points, especially areas difficult to light and photograph, like under the boat and narrow spaces inside. Next, we set up the cameras for the photogrammetry. Due to the limited space around the boats, we used a wide focal length of 24 millimeters. Using a color checker, we set up the white balance to ensure accurate color capture, saving time during editing and processing. With the white balance set, we balanced the aperture, shutter speed, and ISO according to the lighting conditions. The ISO was kept as low as possible to avoid noise. The aperture was set to a higher value to ensure a deep depth of field, and the shutter speed was kept low to avoid motion blur. All these settings were customized to get the sharpest photos possible and to get the most data out of each photo. Two team members, me and Jacob, started taking photos from opposite sides of the boats, capturing faraway shots first before moving closer for details. We took around 1,700 shots for each boat. Meanwhile, two other team members laser scanned all detachable small parts from the boats, a fast and low-risk method since the results could be seen in real time. Once we had all the data, we set up a file system to store all the raw files, process data, and file exports. This system ensured that everything would stay linked if we moved the file packages around. This also allows us to reprocess everything from scratch in the future, if the current model isn't usable anymore. We opened the LiDAR raw data in its software and aligned the points using triangulation to create an accurate point cloud. This process depended on the number of points scanned, with 16 to 20 points taken for each boat. Once we exported the point cloud, which you can see over here, we reviewed the images, removing any blurred, out of focus, underexposed, or overexposed shots before importing them into reality capture. In reality capture, we aligned the images and the point cloud, virtually finding the position of each camera and LiDAR point to generate the mesh. Those small shapes over there are all the cameras virtually around the physical model. For the dice at Alpasalv, we had one major component with most images aligned. However, for the dockyard DISA, we had multiple components, indicating an issue. This often happens if there aren't enough wide shots or if a target was moved during the process. So this meant that I had to manually find common points between components and align them again. Once both boats were aligned correctly, I generated the mesh and texture. Finally, we then opened the mesh in Blender to fix any final problems and any final texture problems. While I processed the boats in reality capture, the other two people who were laser scanning processed their objects in this program that you can see over here. Finally, I imported all the laser scans and main models into Blender to create an animation, highlighting the process and interesting areas on the boats. In conclusion, the future use of the models depends entirely on the situation. Currently, the models are high poly with thousands of vertices, but we can remodel them for gamification purposes or for simplified web viewing. The picture in the camera in the corner over there, that is a 3D model that we recreated from a plan that was used for 3D printing. Additionally, the 3D models can serve for important educational purposes, providing students and enthusiasts with a detailed look at these traditional boats. By creating virtual tours or interactive exhibits, we can ensure that the legacy of the dice at Alpas continues to be appreciated by future generations. Finally, I leave you with a small video of the process and final result. Thank you.